Thank you for tuning in to our podcast. We are coming to you from South Hadley, Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining me is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Reverend Camille. He offers both public and private tours, as well as presentations of the local canal systems, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks and streets in Holyoke, South Hadley, and Chicopee, Mass. Now you actually lead these tours and give these presentations yourself, is that correct?
That's right, and this is very close to the second and third level canals.
So today he'll be educating us on the Holyoke Machine Company. So tell us about the Holyoke Machine Company.
Okay, this was made in 1863 in Holyoke, and what they did was make all kinds of machines, including turbines, water wheels, gears, anything needed for paper production, such as the forgery machines, any kinds of apparatus that would lead to making better items, such as cutters, pressers, rolls, calendar is where you make paper of a certain size, so the calendars were made here, and elevators for production called shaft elevators, and also chippers, grinders, anything to make better products for industry. And they were great. They designed beautiful blueprints and then executed them down to the level you needed to have them. They were probably the best turbine maker in the eastern United States for many years. And in fact, they went from 1863 till about the year 2021 as a business, and they finally closed down. That's 148 years, I believe. That's incredible. And in the beginning, they were the engine behind the Holyoke's industry. They were the ones that would get the machinery ready to exact details that the companies would need them, and then bring them out and install them. So they were everything, the vital cog to the industrial wheel of Holyoke. Now, what we're going to talk about here is what production was like at the Holyoke Machine Company, and we're also going to talk about exactly what was produced and what has become of it. But if you really want to read a lot about it, you go to my website and you'll see all the many things that they did a lot through the years.
And what was produced at the Holyoke Machine?
Okay, so I told you a few of them, but it included rag cutters, because it turns out that the best paper made was cotton-based paper or rag-based paper made out of cotton, and Holyoke mostly made that, and so the Holyoke Machine Company would make the rag cutters. They'd also make rag dusters. They would make cotton combs, which they'd go looking through the seeds of the cotton to make sure that it was smooth and well the seeds around. It made flumes and turbines. It made vertical and horizontal water wheels. It made its turbines either horizontal or vertical, or both, which is incredible. And through the years it changed, of course. When electricity came around, it would make them electricity driven instead of water driven. It would make tubs where you can get the water and the pulp together to try to make pulp paper. It made calendars. Calendar is a machine that with a very even dimensions would make perfectly the paper you wanted down to a tiny fraction of an inch. It made rollers where you could roll the paper or roll the cotton up. It made pulleys and shafts. It made all kinds of turbines. In fact, the Holyoke turbine and the Hercules turbine were made here. The Hercules is probably the most popular turbine 100 years ago in the United States. It made fans and power pumps, all kinds of pumps, water pumps, air pumps, hydraulic pumps. It made presses that could work by machine or by hydraulic pressure or by electricity. It could make all kinds of cutters and rolls. It can make fire pumps, whether they were inside or outside the plant. They made lots of grinders for different aspects. They made water wheels and gears and pulleys. In fact, they made basically everything you needed to run an industrial plant, especially the kind that run around Holyoke, fabric and paper mills. So they did everything they could.
And quickly, before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to find out more information or sign up for any of his various tours, you can do so at his website, holyokecanaltour.org. And he has both videos of the various stops along each tour and also past and present photos of the historical sites throughout as well. And if you're interested in setting up a private tour, you can email him directly at bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And they are perfect for fun and educational outdoor activities for the whole family, or for your group parties, especially those special occasions and get-togethers. And they are also good just for getting outdoors for the day. So getting back to our interview, what was production like at the Holyoke machine?
Okay, the Holyoke Machine Company was not like any other company around Holyoke, because most of the mills around Holyoke were like 3 or 4 floors tall. The raw material would be brought up to the upper floor, and then as you went down a floor, you become more advanced in the production level. So third and second floor were more advanced. The first floor would be the final product, where it was stored, where the final color or smoothing went on, the counting went on, and so forth. But the machine company couldn't do that. They didn't produce products like paper or fabric. They made these metal machines. So in the middle, you had a big foundry. And the foundry would get the raw metals already. It was, most part, a one-floor production. And it had to all be done by hand, not in a production line, because these are one-time off machines with engineered drawings to them. And they had to fit in a specific place for a specific use. They had to have, sometimes dual uses, but it had to be bolted into exact place, and so everything had to be to exact size. That's not the kind of thing you make in a production line. But still, they were a great company. They had many rooms, including the blacksmith room, the sanding room where they get the metal down to as smooth as possible, the pattern making room where they put the inscriptions on it or put a pattern on it that it would need. There was only one section of the building that had multiple floors. 95% of the factory was one floor, except for one section where you had it 4 floors high, and there you stored various patterns that you would make, because those repeated. So if a factory was going to have a certain kind of pattern on the outside, a certain description, you can store the metal plate that made that. And of course, you have a chemical shop, a machine shop to make the items. You had the administration shop. You had the customer shop where you'd meet with the engineers. And all these things were very necessary. And of course, society changes through the years. When you only had canal power, fine, you could make these off of canal-powered water, but what happens when electricity comes around? You have to change what you do, and they change with time just like the customers did. And so you could have, by the end, different kinds of shops, and it changed into, still one floor, it changed into metalworks, machine shop, but it has more aspects of the machines being driven by electricity. All right, you didn't have to depend on your foundry all the time for the great need for work. You could have the really fine presses do it with electricity instead of having a blacksmith do it, for instance. And this happened, and as society changed even more, like the 40s and 50s and 60s, what did they do? They went into CAD kind of structures, right? You had computers come around in the 50s and 60s, at least one of the basic computers, and they could run off CAD machines these new designs to help the machinists do their work. All right, so it became more automated with time, and you didn't need these big foundries and presses. You could have smaller ones and have even more specific work being done. Thank you very much. Oops, sorry.
And what has become of Holyoke Machine?
Okay, the Yank came a couple of years ago. Society had changed so much. There was so much competition, both overseas and within the country itself, that they just couldn't keep up. But that's a great run, 148 years. And it truthfully can be said that anyone that lived during those 148 years in the United States probably had a product that was made by the Holyoke Machine Company. These paper presses, these cotton weaves and work machines, all the different silk winders and grinders. You probably had at least once in your life a machine that was made by Holyoke Machine Company. Thank you.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours. And I want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And you can also tune into a large selection of our other podcasts and much more at his website. Again, it's holyokecanaltour.org. And again, you can email him directly for private tours or to inquire about anything else at bobcat4214, capital D, at yahoo.com. And be sure to keep an eye out for his upcoming 2024 season tours and more as they become available. Thank you for tuning in.